as I said a few minutes ago, Brandon had to sit in on the membership call, so he asked me to sit in as the COAC acting chair since we are currently vacant. And we do need a volunteer to chair that for us nationally. So if anyone is interested, that's after you listen to this call, please reach out to us because we would like to have somebody that wants to serve and has the time to do it because, like Brandon said several times this morning, these are volunteer positions. It does take a lot out of our time and our day, but at the end of the day, we love what we do and we love who we serve. So with that, I am going to turn this over. We have the pleasure of having Martin Bomar with us today. He is over, is it PPOD? Is that correct? Okay, PPOD, and I'll let him tell you what that stands for. But he, since Martin came from the county office, he is one of us through and through. He was a CED in Virginia. I've known Martin for, I'm not going to say how many years, a long time, because that's going to tell on both of our ages. But he's a good guy. He really truly has the field's heart, in his heart, he has the field's interest at heart and looks out for us. And so when he got into PPOD, one of our goals that we've always been looking at is trying to, get our county committees educated to where they know what their responsibilities are and they know what their duties are. And so him and Teresa Martin have been working very diligently, and we've got some of our folks on a task force, and Martin is here to talk to us today about COC orientation. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Martin.
Thanks so much, Marcinda. Really appreciate that. And thanks for the invitation today. I know there's some folks that are on the meeting right now. This will be a repeat for you, and I apologize, but I tell you what, really am excited for NASCOE. I'm very, very, very proud of NASCOE for attempting a virtual convention. And, back in the spring, COVID was such a new animal for us, and nobody really knew what to do. And until we really got our feet under ourselves and demonstrated how we could pivot both in the county offices and even through our advocacy, such as NASCOE, really started to see some amazing collaboration and some wonderful forward thinking. So proud of all of you. I think the virtual convention is an outstanding opportunity, and an opportunity there are a lot of people who normally would not be able to travel to a convention would have the opportunity to join. So great job, and thanks for inviting me. Yes, Marcinda and I have known each other for a long time. She's a lot smarter than I am, a lot younger than I am, but nonetheless, we have known each other for a while. And I will say this, bears repeating, you all know it. Marcinda is a tenacious advocate for American agriculture and also the services that we provide as Farm Service Agency employees. So congratulations to all of you, and thanks for the opportunity. If you've not had the opportunity to do so yet, some of you may not even know that it is available. If you check out the USDA FSA webpage, you'll see a link for agency history. It's an agency history page that if you haven't seen it, especially for our new employees, there might be some really interesting information. Takes us back to the mid-30s, out of the Great Depression and President Roosevelt and his New Deal era, and how what we now know as FSA was born. It's a fantastic walk through history. I recommend you taking a look at that. That's where our county committees were born. Basically an authorization from Congress in the 30s to allow grassroots input and local administration of federal farm programs. And, I'm a huge advocate for county committees. As a young child, I remember my dad being on something called a community committee. Some of you have been around long enough. You remember that type of structure, that predated local administrative areas or LAs. So, yeah, my dad was a member of the community committee. We had a guy in our area of the county that was, the stalwart county committee person. So we always made sure that we supported him. As Marcinda said, I was born into FSA through the county office. I was in 3 different county offices in Virginia, 3 different geographic areas of Virginia, 3 different types of agriculture in Virginia, 3 different county committees in each of those counties, but the very same mantra, the very same advocacy for production agriculture and for conservation and the desire to what we know now as outreach, what was referred to then as getting as many people into this office as we can, because we have a little something for everyone. Everything we have is not going to fit everyone, but had a county committee that ingrained into me very early that we have some producers in the county that say they don't need our services. They don't want anything to do with us. And they turned it around and said, they just don't know what we have to offer. So that's what I'm talking about when I say advocacy of the agency, advocacy of our services. I appreciate all of you. And it's certainly has been and still is a part of my mantra. I think Brandon mentioned it early today in the opening comments when he was referring to the county committee orientation modules, that one of the members of the task force has said, if it weren't for county committees, we wouldn't be here. And I've heard that all of my career when I was in the state of Virginia, and that actually came from a Virginian, and that's exactly the case. And I firmly believe that. So when I came to the Personnel Policy and Operations Division within DAFO, one of the first things I did was obviously let's see what our umbrella is. So what PPOD is responsible for is not only nationwide, training programs, such as the skills, for example, you're familiar with, committee orientation training, ED training, et cetera. I'm very proud of that. Something we want to continue to update. PPOD is also involved with employee and labor relations and performance management, business conduct investigations. We assist with other divisions within DAFO to provide support. We have 3 different divisions within DAFO that have very unique functions, but also shared responsibility in many areas also. It's a great working environment. If you ever have a chance to visit DC, we certainly expect you to come by DAFO and have a visit with us. You're familiar with the, one more pitch, Marcinda, and I'll get back to the agenda. You're familiar with the internship program, the fellows program. I know it was put on hold this year. We're going to resume that next year. Please promote that throughout your membership, because it's a fantastic opportunity for county folks to spend a little time in DC. And we utilize the expertise and the skills of county folks here on the fellowship more than you know. We hear it because I said the same thing when I was in the field. Does DC really know what's going on? Well, yeah, but it really does take grassroots input and grassroots support. So we appreciate the opportunities that we have to collaborate on ideas with you guys. So one of the things that we wanted to do is update the county committee orientation modules. They haven't been updated since 2010. So it became a priority of mine because of, again, advocacy for the county committees. Anything we can do to help, support their role and provide them some tools, as well as county offices and state offices some tools to help in their service to, their customers. We have 3 CEDs that NASCOE recommended, and we have 3 DDs that NAD recommended, and we certainly need that local expertise, that local experience. Some of the folks on the team have actually delivered some of the orientation. Some have not, obviously. So I think we have a really good mix. I'm very, very proud of the group. We're covering within the modules some significant items, not just roles and responsibilities, but also some challenging, challenging situations, some opportunities for members involved in the orientation to apply what they've already known or what they think their role is going to be, and share with each other. So I'm really, really excited about that. Just to give you another example of advocacy of the county committee, some of you are familiar with this. I know at least 5 states are familiar with this. The 2018 Farm Bill directed the implementation of an urban agriculture county committee. And urban agriculture is a pilot that's being run by NRCS. However, the FSA touch is the establishment of a county committee in at least 10 different urban areas across the country. This year, we're rolling out 5. And next year, FY21, we'll roll out the next set of 5. And we're going to be setting up, in other words, redrawing LAA boundaries in Albuquerque, in Cleveland, Philadelphia, Portland, Oregon, and Richmond. Through the establishment of the urban agriculture county committees, we're basically extending, utilizing other additional resources to help outreach to urban agricultural producers that may not have an idea of the USDA services available to them. It doesn't necessarily mean that FSA is going to have a very prominent or high workload area within these urban county committees, but we're going to have a touch, and we're going to have a presence, and we're going to have quarterly county committee meetings within these urban areas, and we're working very closely with NRCS to stand up these committees, increase our advocacy of agriculture, and hopefully bring some new folks in the door. We probably will expect some NAP participation, some farm loan participation through FSA. But certainly NRCS has quite a touch too through some of their conservation programs, composting, hoop houses, et cetera. So we're very excited about the opportunity. We've been working very, very closely with SEDs and their teams in the 5 states. And from a few lessons we expect to learn with this 5, we'll be able to apply those for the next 5 for next year. So not just you and I are advocates for the county committee. United States Congress certainly is too. Hence the inclusion of that provision in the 2018 Farm Bill. So we're very excited about it. Marcinda, that's just my background on why we are updating county committee orientation modules. We are going to have these ready for 2021 for the newly elected committee members who will begin their service in January. And we're certainly proud of that, very excited about it. Appreciate NASCOE's support and appreciate you sending a few folks our way to join the task force. And I'll be happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I'll get out of your way and let you continue your business.
Does anybody have any questions for Martin? Now's the time. And Martin, just so you know, we appreciate you all extending the offer to NASCOE to allow us to pick some folks to serve on those committees, because it's important for us to have those hands-on input from the field. You didn't move around enough in your chair. Does anybody have any questions for Martin while we got him?
Martin, I have a question.
Lori.
Do you know what kind of format this training is going to be in? We're talking video, is it AgLearn, is it a manual form? What do we got?
No, it's not going to be AgLearn. It's not going to be solely paper-based. It's instructor-led now. Because we don't have the COVID crystal ball, we may be doing a virtually instructor-led, ideally with adequate travel funds, with adequate resources. We want to do it in person, yet to be determined. But yes, it will be instructor-led, and we will have live instruction as well as some recorded elements as well. But no, it's not going to be a workbook, and it's not going to be an AgLearn click and click and click. We want it to be interactive. And I will say, Marcinda, it's been a long time. I'm glad to see David Center on the call too. It's been years and years and years since we last saw each other, probably at a LEDGE conference or even a NASCOE convention. But great seeing you, David.
Good to see you, Martin.
Any other questions for Martin?
Martin, could I ask a question about the urban county committees?
Absolutely.
How are they going to be elected or selected? I mean, do you know yet?
Yes, I do, David. Thanks for that question. And I'm very proud of that question because they will not be selected, David. They will be elected. So we're working with NRCS. They've already have a pretty good start to the roles. You know, one of the reasons for putting together an urban agriculture county committee is to build the roles of producers, right? Well, they've got a good start in some of these cities. So we've already loaded those folks that have not already been loaded into SCIMS or to business partner. We're loading them now. And we're actually going to hold a special election, David. So yeah, we're really excited about that. I mentioned we're probably going to have a few lessons learned this group of 5 cities that we can apply to the next group. But yeah, nonetheless, they're going to be elected, and we're excited about that. And it's going to be a 3 LAA. I know it sounds odd to say an urban county committee, but it will be a 3 LAA county committee covering the urban and in a couple of the cities, some of their suburban space.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Martin? Okay, well, Martin, we know your time is precious, and we truly appreciate you being on the call today and talking with us. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. And, you know, if questions come up a little bit later, you know, feel free to collect them, obviously. Add them to the list that you mentioned you're going to be putting together. You know, about an hour ago, I think you had quite a few assembled.
Marcinda,
we have one more question that somebody wrote in. Donnie Green wrote in a question because his audio is not working. He's wondering, can we make sure we involve all levels of FSA in this training so that everyone hears the same thing? There has historically been some confusion at the levels from county committee, CED, DD, SED, state committee, etc.
Okay, fair question for sure. Yeah, that's a great point. And as a part of that transparency, if you will, these modules will be posted to the DAFO PPOD SharePoint page.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Lori, for catching that, because I can't do both things. I can multitask somewhat, but all right, Martin, thanks again. We appreciate you being on here today.
Thanks very much. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Thanks. With that, Brandon gave me a little bit of an agenda here, and I think I should have probably started the meeting, and I wasn't even thinking, but I probably should introduce who our COAC chairpersons are from each area. Is Morgan Leamer on the call?
I am.
Morgan is your Southwest area COAC chairperson. Mary Roberts.
I'm here.
Hey, Mary. Mary is your Midwest area COAC chairperson. And Lori, I'm going to try this really hard. Lori Tibitot. Did I do good? All right. She is your Northeast area COAC chairperson. GB Washburn, are you available? Well, GB may not have been able to make it. He is actually the Southeast area COAC chairperson. And then James Anderson. Okay, we're missing 2 of the 5. So thank you all for being here today with us. And so now some of you all can maybe put some names with your areas to know who to talk to about your county committee stuff. There is one other person I do want to introduce, and I hate that he doesn't have audio, but Donnie Green, for those of you that don't know him, I don't know a person who has been more passionate about county committees than Donnie Green. He actually was serving as our national COAC chairperson. He stepped down from it because he's a volunteer fireman. He's Southeast area alt, and I don't even know what else he volunteers in his community, but he's a very busy, giving person. And I just want to thank him for the time that he did serve and the things that he did. It was actually his idea to move forward with this COAC committee and change the name of it and try to get this committee moving into a new direction. And Donnie has done a tremendous amount of work on this, and I'm just tickled to know him. And if you ever need information about history of county committee and anything, Donnie Green is the man, I will tell you that. So Donnie, thank you. I know you can't talk, but might be a good thing that you can't talk, but, but thank you for all that you've done for us. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Bob Braden is on the call. He is your representative for your National Elected Farmer Elected Committee. I'll let Bob say a few words to the group if you'd like, Bob.
Well, good afternoon. I am the Secretary Treasurer of NAFEC. I understand that, and I've heard David Centers on the call. President Craig Turner says hello and will be on if he can later in the hour. We would like to thank you for the invitation to be a part of your convention. That's very nice of you. We do miss the face-to-face, of course, just like everybody else. Craig and David continue to handle issues all over the United States, helping county committees with issues. Training regarding county committee responsibilities is still our main push to state and national FSA officials. There's a challenging situation somewhere that we are asked to be a part of most of the time, and we're glad to help using the handbooks that are made up for the county committees. I have turned over the membership responsibilities to Joan Center out by Washington, D.C. She's taking this to new levels and getting it organized, and something we've promised NASCOE for years, and Joan is getting it done. And it includes membership cards and a membership letter and notices when dues are needed, and everybody seems to be enjoying it. And some of you might have noticed the change also. And she is now getting the membership, all the memberships going to her address. So if you don't have the new membership form that we fill out with her address on it, then just get some. They're out there on the website. So if you've got any questions, David and I are on with you today. So we're willing to try and answer anything you've got. But thank you.
Thanks, Bob. I appreciate that. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Bob before we move on to new business? Okay. All right. So the first item of new business is the establishment of the COAC work plan for the 2021. We've got some items that have already been submitted. I'm going to review those with you, and then if you have any additional items, we can go from there. So the first item we have is ensuring that COCs have the ability to safely meet in person to conduct meetings during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that there's consistency. Ensuring that COCs have the ability to personally count ballots during the COVID-19 pandemic consistently. Ensuring all COCs across the nation know that meetings are not subject to funding limitations if business needs to be transacted. Ensuring that all state associations have made required changes associated with moving to the new COAC committee from the NAFEC committee. Rebuild a culture where COCs, CEDs, and PTs understand their roles and relationships with each other. Ensure COCs know what their responsibilities are for their jurisdiction. Ensure that NAFEC and NASCOE understand their respective roles as they pertain to helping each other. Good, and he's got good communication down here. Are there any other goals that we need to put down or things that we need to work on that needs to be included in the work plan for 2020? Don't be shy. Feel free to speak up if you have some ideas. This is open to anybody. Okay. With that, I'm going to move on to our old business because we do have some items from last year that we need to talk about. I'm glad David Center is on because one of these is one of the items that we worked with him quite a bit on, and that is the COC permitted political activities. And we need to make sure we're reviewing the FSA procedure. I know, David, you worked on that some last year with the national office. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, NAFEC was getting questions, particularly being moving into an election year, of what they could and could not do. And there was some misinformation sent out in some states from some SEDs that had some bad, it did not follow the rules and regulations that were in place protecting what you can do on your own private time, be an employee or a county committee member. So we had legal counsel draft up that document just so that there is law and statute and rules and regulations backing up what is allowed and what's not allowed.
Okay. So do you think we're at a good place with that, or do you think we still need to work on that some more this year, or?
There have been a number of requests to NAFEC for that document, and we have sent it to anyone asking for it. And I know that NASCOE has the document, and feel free to share it with anybody or however you need to, just so that everybody is on firm ground of what the do's and don'ts are as far as political activity for county committee members or for employees.
Okay. All right. Another item he had down as far as publicity items is actually we need to do a COAC introduction article for the newsletter to introduce the new committee and basically explain the responsibilities and explain that it's, we moved from the NAFEC committee to the COAC committee and talk about those responsibilities. So that's on our radar to put that together. We'll probably reach out to some of our chairpersons to help with that. Putting a fact sheet on COC responsibilities associated with office restructuring. We think that that's really needed out there. We get a lot of questions. Brandon and I deal with a lot of attorney issues and just people not understanding and not being explained what's happening when the offices get restructured and what the COCs can and can't do. So that's a must that we need to get put together this year. And then a NAFEC COC authorities booklet is on his list of publicity items that were talked about last year that we need to work on. So, we need to find out, and we're going to start working on this really quick because we first thing we've got to do is appoint us, obviously, a COAC national chair to replace Donnie in that role. So we really need leadership in that. So that's one of our main goals, is to do that. And then once that's done, then we're going to start working on finding out the status of each state and making sure that they're transitioning from the old NAFEC committee to the new COAC committees and that they're on board with what the national organization is doing. So we'll do that hopefully in the very near future. Him and I are tossing around names for the chairperson, so I think that's going to have to be first, and then we'll work on getting the statuses and then these articles. So that's everything I had on the agenda. I will open it up to some of you area chairpersons. Is there anything that we missed that we need to make sure that we're looking at? Anything you want to discuss that we didn't discuss? Okay, with that, unless David has anything else he wants to share with us, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
Marcy, I might just say that NAFEC sent a letter to Undersecretary Northey and to the Administrator Fordyce talking about counting the votes in December for county committee elections. We're concerned that they might try to sidestep county committees and try to just do it without county committees counting the votes, opening the ballots and counting the votes. So NAFAC sent a detailed letter to them laying out options where county committees, you could use a conference room, different options that would be legal for county committees to meet and count the ballots as the law requires. So we're trying to get ahead of the curve and just make sure they don't say, oh, well, because of COVID or some other reason, we're just going to count them and let you know what the vote was. So anyway, NAFAC is trying to get ahead of that curve.
And we appreciate that. And I know, David, you weren't on, I don't know if you were on the call earlier when we did the Q&A with the national office, but that actually was a question that was asked from the field of Peggy Brown. And she didn't give an answer, but she did say that they are working on a plan of how we can do the ballot counting. So hopefully between your letter and hearing from, NASCOE, the concerns of that, they'll make sure that that's done properly. So we appreciate y'all doing that letter.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, one more time for questions or concerns or anything that you feel like needs to be addressed. The floor is open. Okay, well, I sure appreciate you all attending today. And if we can ever be of any assistance, please reach out to us. Y'all have a good day. Thanks.